Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyabaking.com. Today we're going to make blondies, or maybe you know them as blonde brownies or even butterscotch brownies, and this is what they look like. These brownies have crisp outside edges, yet inside they're soft and chewy. And we use brown sugar in the batter, so that's what gives it the butterscotch flavor. And we also are going to load it up with toasted pecans and lots of chocolate chips. So the first thing that you will need to do is to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. And then you will need an 8-inch square pan, that's 20 centimeters. I've lined mine with foil. You could also line it with parchment paper. And then you can either butter your foil or parchment paper, or just spray it with one of those nonstick sprays. I've just got a little melted butter here, and I'm using a pastry brush. And just bottom and the sides. Okay. And then the first thing you need to do is to toast your pecans, because that really brings out their flavor. So you will need a half a cup, 50 grams of pecans. Now, I like to use pecans because they kind of have a caramel flavor, and that kind of goes with the brown sugar and the butterscotch flavor. You could also use walnuts or even almonds, or even almonds, hazelnuts, walnuts, or pecans. So just put them on your baking sheet, pop them in the oven for about 8 minutes, just until they get like light brown and you can start to smell them. And then I've already done that. And then what you want to do is just coarsely chop them. And then before we start, the other thing that you need to do is take a half a cup, 113 grams of unsalted butter, and just melt it. I just did this in a small saucepan on the stove. You could do it in the microwave as well. We want to bring that down to room temperature. So for the batter, if you have a stem mixer like I have here, use your paddle attachment, or you could use a hand mixer as well. First thing you will need is 1 large egg that's 50 grams out of the shell. Have your egg at room temperature. And we're going to add 3/4 of a cup, 150 grams of light brown sugar. If you're using a measuring cup, of course I always say scale. I like to weigh my ingredients, but if you use a measuring cup, make sure you kind of pat down your brown sugar because it's really soft. Put that in there along with, for flavoring, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract. So now what I'm going to do is beat this together, 1, to mix it all together, and 2, to get some air in with the ingredients. So I'm going to beat it medium-high speed, 2-3 minutes, just until it's really nice and light. Okay, so you can see this. Take it. So we're looking for, you can see, just nice and light. That's what you're looking for. So it's back. And I'm going to have the mixer on low speed and gradually pour in our cooled butter, that half a cup, 113 grams. So, and then I'm going to keep mixing till it's thoroughly mixed in. Okay. Let's give that a stir. And next, in a separate bowl, I have 1 cup, which is 130 grams of all-purpose flour, plain flour. To that, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of baking soda. That's going to give our blondies nice rise. And just 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. I used unsalted butter, but if you want to use salted, you could. But then I would just leave out the salt I just put in. And then I'm just with a wire whisk, mixing everything together. You can just use a fork, your hand. So dump that right in there. And I'm also going to add our chopped pecans, and I'm going to add 1 cup, 170 grams of chocolate chips. Now, you can use, I'm using actually white chocolate chips, and then I'm using the, these are bittersweet chocolate chips, but you could use like the white, the bittersweet, milk, semi-sweet, or a combination of any one or bunch, like I'm using both of these. I really like loading these up with the chocolate chips and the nuts. Now, you could really, if you didn't want to add the nuts, you could leave the nuts out and add some more chocolate chips, or conversely, if you don't want chocolate chips, you could just add more nuts. So you can kind of experiment and make them the way you want to make them. So now I'm just going to mix this in, low speed. Okay. Let's finish that off by hand. Really easy to make. This is one of these things, if you have a craving and something sweet, you can have these done in no time. I know they're sometimes called blonde brownies. I'm not sure why the relation to a brownie, because brownies are made with chocolate, but maybe because they're in, bake them in a pan, I don't know. Some of the same ingredients. Never could figure that out. So now, just pour your batter into the pan. Okay, looks good. And then you can just use the back of a spoon, or I'm using an offset spatula, just spread that out. When you're baking these, it really partly depends on how do you like your blondies, the baking time. Some people like them really soft, almost to the point of underbaked. I don't. I like them soft, but not that soft. So I'm going to say 25 minutes. Like your oven, can vary. Everybody's ovens can be a little different. But I'm going to say 25. Now you might want to check them at 20. So what you're going to look for is they're going to be golden brown. It should be set, but I like the center to look like just a little soft. And if you put a toothpick into the center, it should come out with, not clean, with a little bit of batter on there. That's how I like it. So the brownies I love the crisp outside edges, but soft in the center. So I'm going to say about 25 minutes. I do like to rotate my baking pan front to back about halfway through to get more even baking. Okay, so our blondies are done. So put your pan on a wire rack. You see, beautiful golden brown color. Nice and firm around the edges. Still a little soft in the centers. That's how I like it. So now what we're going to do is let them cool down completely to room temperature. And then when we come back, we will try one. So our blondies have cooled down to room temperature. So I'm just going to peel back the foil. Now you can cut your blondies as big or as small as you want. And are you the type that likes the outside edges that are wonderfully crisp? That's me. Or do you prefer just the ones in the center that are really just soft and chewy? I'm actually going to take the quarter so I get more edges there. But like, if you, typically I cut this in quarters, so I'll get 16 out of this. But like I said, it's big or as small as you want. I'm really gonna just give myself a little bit of the soft and chewy. And like I said, the baking time is really dependent on how like firm you like your blondies. The longer you bake them, of course, the more firm they will be. So if you like a really soft, then I would maybe even do it a little less than 25 minutes. If you like them really quite firm, then 25, maybe even to 27. But look at that. Oh, they're still just a touch warm, which I like. So they haven't set up all the way, but oh, the outside is, like I said, if you like the nice and crisp edges, very soft and chewy inside. You have that like kind of a butterscotch almost or caramel flavor from that brown sugar. And then to add to that, you've got the toasted pecans, which add a little bit of crunch. And then, of course, your chocolate chips, the dark and the white. I like that combination a lot. So, like you can have these warm, room temperature. Some people even like them cold. You know, you can probably store them 2-3 days at room temperature, or if you want to, if you last a little longer, if you store them in the fridge, or you can freeze them. So this is a great snack, easy to make, really good to eat. So you must try this one. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoyaBaking.com.